Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. A disastrous, inexcusable loss against the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. We're about to break it down, take your calls, and I'll give you my analysis from this football game. First, though, today's show, presented by True Classic Tees. 25% off if you use the promo code CHAT at trueclassictees.com/chat. Really awesome, affordable, stylish wear. Just make sure you enter the promo code CHAT for that deal to apply. So, San Francisco going down in this game once again to Russell Wilson, who was 17-4 against the Niners in his career by a final score of 11-10. And really, it's a disastrous loss for San Francisco. I understand that it's early in the 2022 campaign, but with the Rams coming up next week, once again in a primetime slot, you had a great opportunity to show to everybody that you're a legitimate football team in the National Football League. And I thought the 49ers fought flat on their faces with how this game was coached, with the lack of execution, and the fact that they were the better team in this football game, and Kyle Shanahan inexcusably went down to Nathaniel Hackett. And this is really what it comes down to for me. There are two culprits in this football game. It is Jimmy Garoppolo, and it is Kyle Shanahan. Jimmy G was horrid in this matchup. He went 17-28, 195 yards, but he had a couple of opportunities in which he could have hit Deebo Samuel for a long pop play to maybe score a touchdown. He was inaccurate with a lot of his throws. He got happy feet in the pocket. Most importantly, though, I thought that safety in his own end zone really changed the complexion of this football game. Jimmy Garoppolo has won more than 70% of his starts with the San Francisco 49ers. He has been in this league for a really long time. And Dan Orlovsky is no longer a meme for running out of the end zone with the safety, with the Detroit Lions, because Jimmy Garoppolo has overtaken him in that embarrassment. To show the lack of awareness with the field position and in that situation is inexcusable for Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's what paved the way for Denver to come back in this game. There were times where San Francisco could have won this football game. They could have won it. They were the better team. They have the better roster. Yet Russell Wilson gets them once again. And at this point, let's be real with everybody. Russell Wilson, he is the 49ers' daddy, whether he's with the Seattle Seahawks or now with the Denver Broncos. Before we continue to break this game down, I want you to grade the Niners' performance tonight, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving them a flat-out F. If anybody disagrees, then I question your football intellect, because this was inexcusable on multiple fronts. Now, the good, obviously, is how the 49ers defense played. But I said it during our watch party. DeMeco Ryans is going to be a future head coach. A lot of people are calling for DeMeco Ryans to be the future head coach of this franchise in place of Kyle Shanahan. The defense was so good, but at some point, the Niners offense had to bail them out, because the defense can only hold up for so long given the extra time that Russell Wilson gives the Broncos offense to gash you offensively. And at some point, it's going to break you down. He's going to thrash you. The Niners' defensive front was great. They got pressure on Russell Wilson. The coverage on the back end was great. But when you continue to play stellar defense, you can only hold up for so long. And the Broncos really were able to take advantage of the lack of stamina for this 49ers defense, because they broke down over time because this offense was absolutely putrid. We're going to take your calls here on Call-In, but first, I want to give a quick shout out to True Classic Tees for sponsoring our post-game show. So many people are fired up, and I'm fired up about this football game. I'm also fired up about True Classic Tees. They have loungewear. They have shirts. They have golf polos like this. They have shorts. They have jeans. And for everybody out there, the best deal for the faithful, if you enter the promo code CHAT and head to trueclassictees.com/chat. Make sure you enter that promo code for that deal to apply. You get 25% off of your order, regardless of what you order on the site. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. So let me get to a couple of notes here before we start taking your calls here on Call-In. It comes down to this. Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan were bad in this game. Kyle Shanahan got beat out by Nathaniel Hackett when the 49ers were clearly the better team in this game. The 49ers also, penalties. They lost the turnover battle sizably, and they continue to be sloppy. And that's not what good and well-coached teams do. And when you commit penalties and when you turn the rock over, 80% of the time that you lose the turnover battle, you lose games in the National Football League. That once again reared its ugly head. And we're looking at a 49ers schedule in which in week 1 they outplayed the Chicago Bears thoroughly, yet they lost. Week 2, they're the better team than the Seattle Seahawks. They win. And then week 3, they outplay the Denver Broncos, yet they lose in a baseball game type of matchup 11-10. And for Russell Wilson, continues to own San Francisco. I thought that, Brandon Ayuk certainly flashed in the early goings of this game, and then the Niners went away from him. George Kittle being back was obviously a big advantage here. Mitch Wishnowsky was honestly the MVP of the game for the Niners outside of the defense because of what he was able to do on special teams. And here's where this comes down to for me. The fact that the Niners, 2 opportunities, down 11-10, to just get into field goal range for the most clutch kicker in the NFL outside of Justin Tucker. And they couldn't even muster to get past midfield, the Jeff Wilson turnover, the Jimmy Garoppolo interception. Those types of mistakes can't happen for a team that is destined to try and make a deep run in the playoffs. And that's what poorly coached teams do. And I've been a defender of Kyle Shanahan for a really long time. But this loss right here, it goes down as an inexcusable loss. Nathaniel Hackett, part of my language, is a fucking joke. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan lost this game to Nathaniel Hackett, who has lived up to his last name of being a hack, it does not bode well for San Francisco going into week 4 against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I'm going to take your calls here in a second. A lot of people fired up. In the meantime, though, make sure you hit that red subscribe button if you want videos on the San Francisco 49ers every single day. We give you the best, most interactive, most informative Niners news, rumors, analysis, live shows, and watch parties, so hit that red sub button right now. Now, I'm looking at Colin here, and a lot of people, they're about to go off about this football game. And without further ado, I do want to open up the caller board here on Callin. Make sure you download the app, chatsports.com/49erscallin. We do have people listening and watching internationally, so I do want to start off with Husko Dino, tuned in from New Zealand. Interested to get your thoughts on this football game, Husko.
It's inexcusable. I couldn't believe it when Jimmy Garoppolo got that safety. Just disappointing loss today, and especially to Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Especially known for being a bad coach.
And look, Husko, appreciate the call, man. You're an absolute real one. Jimmy Garoppolo has to have better awareness on a play action in his own end zone with where the back line is. The fact that he ran out there, we're talking about a quarterback who's been in the league for a long time, 2 NFC title games in 3 years, a Super Bowl appearance, and he takes a safety on that play. Those types of things cannot happen. Wet Noodle 187, you're next up on the docket. Appreciate all of your support of the 49ers Report. TUA, man, I know you're fired up about this loss.
Oh, man, that loss is horrible. I was just wondering why we didn't run the ball before the 2-minute warning and regroup and then set something up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the play calling in general, Wet Noodle, is a huge question mark for me. Kyle Shanahan was a little bit limited with Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback, and that's the reality of where the Niners' offense is with this offense with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. They are more predictable through the run game because Trey Lance isn't there to offer that run and pass threat. They are also much worse in throwing the football downfield. Trey Lance, every time that he played, threw shots downfield and oftentimes was very successful in doing so. Jimmy Garoppolo, on the other hand, there was that banter back and forth between Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan all throughout the week, and I like the aggressiveness deep downfield. But there's a reason why Kyle Shanahan doesn't take those deep shots downfield because Jimmy Garoppolo isn't good at it. And then with the run game, yeah, you could have run the football a little bit later on in this football game, as Wet Noodle 187 had just said, but the defenses are planning and they're stacking the box against Jimmy G. There oftentimes was an extra rusher for the Denver Broncos on many of these plays down the stretch because they understand, okay, let's stack the box against Jimmy G. Let's throw a little defensive disguise. We show blitz. We drop back defenders. He threw that one pick. We know that this ground game is not as explosive, with Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback of this football team, and that's the problem that you run into with Jimmy G. Other teams know what he can and can't do. He can't throw the football downfield. At times, often his inaccuracy, it rears its ugly head. He is prone to making mistakes if you muddy the pocket. And Jimmy G, we saw the happy feet with Jimmy Garoppolo throughout this football game, and the Denver Broncos, with a good defense, they noticed those tendencies. And that's the problem with Jimmy G as a quarterback for this football team. And that's why there is a ceiling with Jimmy G as a quarterback. They might be better right now. Are they better, though, in the future? Are they better in a couple of months with Jimmy G as compared to Trey Lance? That's why I always argue that Trey Lance gave this team a better shot in the long haul as compared to Jimmy Garoppolo right now. Next up on the 49ers report, going to go to Mark. Mark, welcome on to the post-game show. What's up, man?
Dude, I don't even know where to start.
Exactly.
I enjoy your show.
Thanks,
and
bro.
first-time caller. So I'm looking at the schedule, dude. Okay, so we got the Rams at home. We got the Panthers, we got the Falcons, the Chiefs, Rams again, of course, Chargers, Cardinals, Saints, Dolphins, Bucks, Seahawks, and Commanders. I see maybe 2 wins coming up. Now, look, dude, I know I got you. I feel you. You're a big supporter of Kyle, but he has to go. He's had 5 years. 5 years. And for him, and I know Jimmy has his limitations, dude. But come on, man. I mean, the preparation, the absolute stubbornness to stick with like someone like Wilson and not kind of branch out, look at the other talent around you. I mean, you got to pay the price. And the last point I want to make is you got a potential head coach. You talked about it, DeMeco Ryans. He's going to be gone, dude.
Yeah.
You need to fire Kyle. You gotta make DeMeco the head coach. You're probably going to get some locker room support for that. Quite honestly, I think you're going to send a message. And this season's done, dude. I'm telling you. Trey maybe comes back next year. You see what you got. Let me ask you this: do we have any first-round picks, or are they still gone because of Trey?
Well, yeah, they gave up the 3 first-rounders, so that was this past year, this upcoming year, and then the year after that. So those are the 3 first-round picks that you give up for Trey Lance. And I think that you can make up for it, but those are the 3 first-round picks that you give up. And real quick, Mark, this is the danger here, because we saw how disastrous the tenures were for Jim Tomsula as well as Chip Kelly. I mean, shoot, man, those were terrible times for this franchise. And while the regime got off to a little bit of a rocky start, right? Let's focus on what Shanahan has done over the last 3 years. Let's throw out the first couple of years. Hold on, real quick, and then I'll go back to you. So the first couple of years, some good and bad times. He won a lot and had to play a lot with C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, Jimmy Garoppolo. The last 3 years, though, 2 NFC title games and a Super Bowl. So if they get back to that type of level, then you can make the argument for why Kyle Shanahan is the right guy. The danger in firing him, though, is if you miss out on that, and he's widely considered to be one of the best head coaches in this league, and then you go to another guy who isn't of the same caliber, then you reset yourselves back to the potentially Jim, Tomsula, Chip Kelly type of days. So, Kyle Shanahan's a pretty good coach, but I understand he has his flaws and weaknesses. His stubbornness, Mark, you're totally right on it. It drives me crazy. And the lack of in-game adjustments drives me crazy. But that's a predicament that this franchise is in.
But I got to tell you, man, the league has caught up to him. And you can't, they always say, what's the acronym for NFL? Not for long, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even Gary Glanville used to talk about it, man. If you guys, I go way back. But, dude, it's like he's had 5 years, dude. And I'm telling you, we're going to end up losing DeMeco, and that guy's something special, I think. So, that's just throwing it out there. Like I said, look at the schedule, dude. Tell me who we're going to beat, other than maybe the Saints and the Commanders. Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Look, yeah, dude, I appreciate the passion. You make some really legitimate points. I mean, I can guarantee you that what you brought up is probably talked about within this front office. Kyle Shanahan has owned Sean McVay outside of the NFC Championship game last year, but this was the key, and you talked about that schedule a little bit earlier, Mark. The key to this year was starting the season off strong, because then you run into the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Chargers, the Rams once again, the Cardinals on the back half of the year. If you put yourself in a position to start the season strong, then you don't really have to worry about trying to play catch up like they did last year after a 3-5 start. But now they're playing behind the 8 ball at 1-2 when they should be 3-0 on the year.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, last comment. I just want to say I really enjoy your show. So does my wife and kids, dude. And you rock it, bro. So thanks for everything you do.
Hey, much appreciated, man. Really do appreciate your support, the wife's support, the kids' support. Honestly, I put my heart and soul into everything that I do here on the 49ers Report. So to hear a compliment like that, I greatly appreciate it. Next up on the show, we're going to go to Drew Lucero. He always brings the fire. Drew, what do you got? It is your open forum to discuss all of this.
Thanks, Chase. Good to talk to you again. And as we've probably predicted, another vanilla game. Offense, very vanilla. Oh man, it's crazy, and I feel bad for Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, because those guys held it down. They held this team to 11 points. That's amazing. I mean, and we're going to be a top 3 defense, like I mentioned earlier the year. But Mike McDaniel is very, very, very missed right now, because I think he kind of, although Shanahan is kind of the alpha in the room, I think Mike McDaniel may have pushed his hand a little bit with certain things. So we're hurting right now. It's going to be a long season, like I had mentioned. That I had mentioned on YouTube. So I appreciate you, Chase, and I'll talk to you next week.
Salute, brother. Yeah, look, it's 3 weeks in, and the Niners right now are 1-2 on the year. I understand why things are a little bit bleak. They have the roster, they have the culture to come back and rebound from this. But as I said, the season gets a lot tougher with this schedule, considering the fact that the Niners made that run to the NFC Championship game. And here's where things start to get a little bit hairy. The Trent WIlliams injury, if it's a long-term injury, if he's out for a little while, I mean, the Niners went with Jalen Moore. They went to Colton McKivitz. We're already looking at an offensive line that has some question marks. If Trent WIlliams is out for a long time, an extended period of time, that's a huge concern for this football team, because that right there is Jimmy Garoppolo's backside. David, going to make you the next caller here on the 49ers Report. David Corona, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm okay, as good as we can be, but I'm better than I'm hearing from you, man.
You cutting in and out. So, like Mark said, like, man, like Kyle Shanahan been here for like 5 years, and like he should go to maybe what Ryan DeMeco doing and bring Sean Payton.
Yeah, look, David. So Shanahan's been here since 2017. So 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. This is a 6-year here. In those 6 years, 2 NFC title games and a Super Bowl appearance. That's come over the last 3 years. What's going to become an interesting conversation is that DeMeco Ryans continues to have this defense straight up balling. Straight up balling. And throughout this year, that has not been the problem. The problem has been the offense, and that's supposed to be Kyle Shanahan's specialty. Again, I defended Kyle Shanahan. I think he's a good head coach in this league. I think the Niners have a great culture right now. They are respected as an organization by their own players. They have hit on some mid to late round picks that have helped change the course of this franchise, like a Talanoa Hufanga. And the list goes on and on and on. But the thought of losing to DeMeco Ryans, it does kind of hurt if you know that he goes elsewhere. Kyle Shanahan ain't that guy. DeMeco Ryans is that guy. And then you have that conversation of what we missed out on. Next up on the show, going to go to Evan. Evan, you're the next caller here on the 49ers Report. What do you got, Evan?
Hey, honestly, I was screaming like when that fumble happened. Honestly, I'm thinking if Garoppolo struggles maybe 2 more games and plays like how he is today, I think jump on the Purdy train. Like, honestly, Garoppolo's just stunk. Like, honestly, I just think if almost the season's over almost and Garoppolo's not helping the team win, just put in Purdy or Benkert and just see how we do. If they get us a couple wins, maybe have a battle for number 2 spot and get rid of Garoppolo.
Yeah, and this is where I'll actually defend Jimmy G. And Evan, man, you bring the passion every single week. If we're getting to the point where we're talking about Brock Purdy taking over for this team, I'm not sure that the Niners' hopes of competing for a deep playoff run are all that high. I mean, we know what Garoppolo is, and we know that he has games like this. But will it surprise us if he comes back next week against the Rams and has a good performance? And that's why Jimmy G he might not be that franchise quarterback, because he's so Jekyll and Hyde. He lacks that inconsistency. And for another team that is looking to acquire him, like the Washington Commanders trying to trade for him, like, he's going to have good weeks. He's going to have really atrocious weeks. And for Jimmy G, that's part of why it's the Jekyll and Hyde type of conversation, because he can be really good. He can be horrid like he was tonight. And that's why the debate is so fruitful here on the 49ers Report. Going to go to my guy, John Wallace. He is a massive supporter of what we do on the 49ers Report. I'm excited to hear from John for the first time here on Call-In. John, if you're ready, unmute yourself, because I want to hear from you. I hope to hear from you. I'm going to give you 5 seconds before we pivot to another caller. If you have to go into your settings to unmute your microphone for Call-In, make sure you do that. John, you're there? All right, John is not there. All right, let's go to Jess. Jess, next caller on the 49ers Report. Welcome to our post-game show. What are your thoughts about this defeat?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yo, what's up?
So I'm a Broncos fan. I'll be straight up.
All right.
But I mean, both teams tonight, I think you would agree, looked pretty pathetic.
Yeah. And will you agree real quick that the Niners look like the better team than Denver? Will you agree with that outside of quarterback?
I think that's arguable.
Okay.
I think both defenses looked really, really good, and both offenses looked really, really bad.
Okay.
Which is, I hate to say, I mean, Broncos had a lot of high praise going into the season.
Right.
But one thing I want to say, I can't remember the name. Your guys' safety, Troy Polamalu.
Talanoa Hufanga. I got you, bro.
That guy is.
He's a menace, man.
I'm excited to watch him.
He's a baller.
Yeah. I'm really excited to watch him. He looks crazy.
Yeah.
So just want to shout you guys out for that.
Appreciate that. What else you got, man?
As a Broncos fan, I want to ask you a question. I know you said you think the 49ers played better tonight, which I think is arguable. I think both teams had their ups and downs, but our offense looked horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
And as someone who, I mean, I haven't watched a ton of 49ers film. I'm from Phoenix, so a lot of my friends are Cardinals fans.
Cool.
Hate the Niners. But would you say it was more of the Niners defense or Broncos offense looking bad? Like, I just want to hear your opinion on it.
No, I got you, and that's an awesome call right there. Honestly, this Niners defense is statistically one of the best in the NFL going into this week. I'm not sure how the numbers are going to lie after, this whole slate of games on Sunday, but you make a good point, man. I mean, this is the Niners defense being exceptional, and they were exceptional all throughout the night. But this is what I said all throughout the night during our watch party. The Niners defense, you can only rely on them to be great for so long. At some point, they're going to break down. At some point, Russell Wilson's going to make that play, like the back shoulder ball to Courtland Sutton on that big play to get them closer to the end zone. This is the fact that the Niners defense is great, but the Niners offense, if they continue to be mediocre, that's going to be the downfall of this football team. On YouTube, $10 Super Chat coming in from Ron C. And then we'll end our YouTube cut here and continue to take calls on Call-In. Jimmy G is fine. The play calls are too conservative. They need to let the play callers upstairs thoughts. So, look, Kyle Shanahan called shots downfield for Jimmy G. He didn't look good in those plays. There were a couple of instances in which Kyle Shanahan had the play design in which Deebo Samuel twice was wide open, and Jimmy Garoppolo either didn't look his way or didn't throw an accurate pass. The play design from Kyle Shanahan, that's why this conversation is so fascinating. The play design was there. And if you score on 2 of those plays, this ain't a game anymore. But Jimmy Garoppolo either didn't see that or didn't make the throw. And that's part of the predicament that people don't see when they watch the game broadcast, is what Kyle Shanahan is drawing up with some of the motions, with some of the creativity, with some of the pre-snap stuff. The throws were there for Jimmy G. He didn't make them or he didn't see them. So that's part of the issue there. And cheers to that $10 super chat. Before we end this cut, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody who tuned into our live watch party as well as our post-game show. Going to continue to take calls here on Call-In, and that's why you follow us and download the Call-In app.